Hi everyone, my name is Kiana Staten and the person I interviewed was Angela Santos. She is 16 years old and she attends Westover High School. She is Filipino and Guamanian. She has lived in Colorado Springs, Colorado, Honolulu, Hawaii, and Barstow, California. But she has lived most of her life in Albany, Georgia. Her mom is Filipino and she was raised in Guam, while her dad was born and raised in Guam. Her parents are divorced, but they still get along well. She goes and visits her mom multiple times throughout the year. Her stepmom is Caucasian. She has been in her life for 9 years, and she was born and raised in Georgia. She lives with her dad, stepmom, stepsister, and her sister. Her dad was in the Army for about 8 years. Her sister is currently at the Air Force Academy in California. And her mom lives and works in Mexico. She works as a social advocate for an upcoming company. Angela's goals after she graduates high school are to attend the Air Force Academy and be in the OSI, which is the Air Force's version of the FBI. She wants to become a pilot in the Air Force, or she wants to join TACP, which is ground support in combat areas. That was a little about the interviewee. Now on to the Chamorro culture. Guam is the culture that was discussed during this interview, and there was a lot learned. Guam is located in the Mariana Islands and is the largest island in Micronesia. The capital of Guam is Hagatna, but the most populous city is Didro. The people in Guam are referred to as Chamorro, but the alternative name is Guamanian. The people and their language is indigenous in the archipelago. The Chamorro language that is spoken throughout the Mariana Islands is an Austronesian language. Guam was added to the United States as an unincorporated territory in 1898 after the Spanish-American War. This war introduced Chamorros to the democratic principles of government and the modern American lifestyle. But before Guam was ceded, Guam was a part of a lot. They had a position in World War II when Japan invaded the island shortly after the attack on Pearl Harbor in December of 1941. And from the next 3 years following the attack on Guam was the only U.S. territory that was occupied by Japanese forces during Japanese forces until the Americans returned in 1944. During this interview, there was a lot learned and a lot discussed. What I learned from this interview was that Guam is considered an unincorporated territory of the United States. And I also learned a whole lot about my friend that I never knew, as far as how her ethnicity was, the way it was. I learned how her parents were the way they were. I also learned a lot more about her family. This was just a very fun thing to do for me. While conducting this interview, we discussed her religion, the foods they eat in Guam, how important education is to her family and in her culture, racism, the pros and cons of being in the United States. Has she ever felt excluded from something based on her gender or culture? The misconceptions about people in her culture. What is considered respectful and disrespectful in her culture. Celebrations they have. The roles that differentiate men and women. And I also asked what was her definition of culture, just to see how she felt on it. Like I said earlier in completing this speech, I had an awesome time during this interview. I had fun and learned a lot. If I have the chance to do it again, I would complete this assignment. Thank you for your time and listening to my speech.